I've covered a lot of my big hopes for Splatoon 3 so far, such as the special weapon design, maps that I want to see, and a lot more. But today, I want to talk about smaller but equally important changes that I really want to see, from a revamped training room to a team photo mode and much more. So, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more Splatoon content from me, be sure to subscribe. And without further ado, let's get right into it. First up is the music. Now, don't get me wrong, Splatoon has some good songs, but I really wish there was more customization on what we got to hear. Currently, the songs are just entirely randomized, and it really sucks because at times I would really rather hear some of them and not all of them. I think a good way to fix this would be having a sound system very similar to Smash Bros, where you can adjust the likelihood of which songs are played. But even more importantly than that is the ability to turn the music off. Splatoon is a game where sound is just so important, and whenever you go in the recon mode, you really get to hear just how much of the movement is really audible. Splatoon sound effects are just so incredibly useful that I would really appreciate the option to be able to either lower or turn off the music altogether. Next up is the photo mode, and while I think the Amiibo photo mode is fine, come on, these are with Amiibos. You have to spend extra money to get access to this option. It should be way better. First up, we should definitely be able to move the camera more, get more options for where exactly we want to take the picture, and be able to hide the Amiibo itself, which would allow us to take a lot better pictures of ourselves. But on top of that, we should easily have a team picture mode. Team pictures are super cool and a great thing to do with your group of friends or team that you play on competitively, and most competitive teams post team pictures in order to show off tournament results they got on Twitter. So rather than just being glorified in-game screenshots, it would be really cool if you could use an actual photo mode. Nintendo actually runs a league tournament thing in Japan, and the winners get these special types of team pictures, so the functionality is already in the game. Considering Splatoon 1 Amiibos had their own set of unique story mode challenges, it's about time we got an upgrade on what they did in Splatoon 2. Next up is an obvious one. Let us skip the news. I don't think I need to go into detail with this. Another quick point to talk about is gear exclusives. Now, Japan has a lot of really cool exclusive gear that you can get with codes, and I think it's just a little bit unreasonable that there's no way to access it without a Japanese copy of the game. Seriously, there's way too much cool gear, and it's just really unfair that overseas fans can't get to enjoy them at all. Next up, private battle lobbies. I got a lot of stuff I want to say here. First of all, we should really be able to just have basic room codes that anyone can join. The friend request system is absolutely god-awful. You have to re-add people constantly. Pretty much any Splatuber will tell you they hate this system. Plenty of other Nintendo games use a room code system, and it's just way easier and prevents you from having to add and remove people all the time. Speaking of adding and removing people, there's even more problems. There's no way to remove people from the room, so if someone joins who's not supposed to be there, guess what? You have to remake the entire lobby. Additionally, if you go to the weapon select screen and someone disconnects or the teams are wrong, there's no way to go back either. You have to once again disconnect and remake the entire lobby all over again. Finally, if the host of the room has to go, there's no way to transfer the host, so once again, everyone must leave and rejoin. Being able to transfer the host, go back from the weapon select screen, and remove people from the PB would reduce a lot of times where the private battle just has to be remade entirely, which would be a huge fix for a lot of people. Adding on to this, I'd love to see private battles expand to have way more customizability in the form of minigames. Some examples of this could be infinite ink, being able to only use sub-weapons, only use special weapons, having infinite special weapons, being able to use any color of ink combination or use the night theme on ranked modes, only being able to pick specific weapons, a weapon randomizer, and finally, being able to use weapons with any sub and special combination. And while this is never happening, if this goes even further, Nintendo could implement custom game rule sets to allow you to implement games like hide and seek way easier. This would improve private battles as a feature so much that I think it's one of the biggest changes they could do in terms of quality of life improvements. Oh, and please let us enter private battles alone. I really hate having to harass friends to get footage of a specific map like I had to do with the Rainmaker Shortcuts video, so being able to just enter by myself would be a huge improvement. Up next, Splatoon has a lot of weapons and a lot of gear, which means sorting through them could be a real challenge. A good solution to this would be allowing us to have our own folders. For example, I would like to organize the weapons that I play most often, such as Rapid, Brella, Octobrush, and a few others, into their own category so that I can easily just select them and then pick my own weapon. This option could also apply to the gear itself, or even better, you could attach specific loadouts to weapons, so whenever you pick the weapon, it would switch to whichever gear set or set of gear sets that you had in mind, and you could pick your favorite. favorite. While we're on this topic, please stop listing blasters as a shooter because it means I have to scroll through the entire shooter class to get to a weapon that is nothing like a shooter at all. Another change I can't believe hasn't happened is a way to do turf war with friends on the same team. Seriously, the fact that there's no league equivalent for turf war is really weird, and whenever you join your friends' lobbies, you could have to wait a long time to get in if there's a ton of people and have no guarantees of being on the same team. It's such a small change, but for people who like to play turf war, it sucks that there's no option for them to play with their friends unless if they have 8 people. Next up, for league battle, I'd really like Nintendo to rework the system so you could actually search for specific players to play with. So say for example, you could look for people of a specific rank barrier, say we want people in S or S+. We could look for specific weapons or roles, for example, if we want a shooter or a charger player or a backline or someone with an armor or whatever special you want. And then you could be able to host twins or quads and be able to find people from online, which could be absolutely huge for the game. Let's be honest, Splatoon is way more fun with a team or group of friends, so giving people the option to find others to play with in the game itself would be absolutely huge. In order for people to easily play with each other over and over if they like the group they did, there would have to be some form of communication option. I'm not saying they should do voice chat, but maybe some kind of text functionality could be really cool. Who knows? This isn't part of a list, but just noting this would go really well with adding a tournament mode. It's a big personal hope for me, but who knows, maybe we'll see it in Splatoon 3. Another small change could be implementing minigames for lobbies. We had this in Splatoon 1, and it just really helped to pass the time. Seriously, I really miss Squid Jump. I hope we get to see it in the next game. And last but not least is the training mode. Right now, all we have is a tiny bit of dummies, and I find it super unhelpful. Here's a few things I would want in a new Splatoon 3 training mode. First of all, having bigger dummies that could soak up more damage, which can be seen in the normal single-player campaign, and we actually had these in Splatoon 1. I have no idea why they took them away. Next up, being able to practice against AIs, selecting them to use specific weapons, and their difficulty could be really useful. This could give you a much better aim warm-up than just shooting at standstill or predictable moving path dummies. And finally, rather than purely limiting people to the training mode area that we have, being able to actually access any stage and being able to use the AIs there means we have a lot more options for testing what exactly we want to do on specific stages, and gives even more options for fighting AIs on a ground that's much closer to the normal game. Some nice bonus features would be able to have infinite ink or infinite specials, say we want to practice our zip caster on specific maps, or being able to practice our bamboozler without running out of ink every 5 seconds. And that's all my ideas. If I missed something, be sure to let me know in the comments. While these changes may be small, I think it overall just adds a lot to the game and makes it feel like you have way more options for stuff to do and that things aren't as limiting. While the major stuff may be what most people are going to be talking about, I really hope Nintendo doesn't forget to add these small little features and make them feel that much better. But with that all being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in another video.